Yo YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Chris from SonicHub coming at you with another video today. And today I want to talk about something that's a little contentious. Something that might spark up a little bit of controversy, but I want to talk a little bit about the Sonic series. This is a series that has changed a lot over the last 30 years. A lot of games being more radically different than others. So I've been sitting here thinking about what is the most overrated Sonic game of all time? There's definitely a lot of debate within the community, but there's some games that have this universal consensus about how good they are and what their ranking is among Sonic games. So I want to talk a little bit about what that game is and why I think it's the most overrated Sonic game of all time. So let's roll the clip. So I don't know if you guys are going to like this. I have very recent experience playing this game, so I know for a fact that this is the most overrated Sonic game of all time, at least in my opinion. Keep in mind, I do think that this is actually one of the best Sonic games ever, and you really can't objectively disagree that this is a top 5 Sonic game of all time, so please don't kill me in the comments for this opinion. But this is really how I feel, and I'll give you guys my reason for why I think this is the most overrated game of all time. And that game is none other than... Alright, so let me explain to you what I mean when I say Sonic Generations is one of the most overrated Sonic games of all time. I'm not saying by any means that this is a bad game. In fact, this is a great game. I had a lot of fun with this game, and I think it's definitely one of the top 5 Sonic games of all time. There's not much disagreement there from me. But what is the definition of overrated? According to Google, it's an adjective that describes something that is rated or valued too highly. And if you're watching this video, you probably disagree with me. Many people have this game considered as the #1 Sonic game of all time. So this is what I mean when I say it's overrated. As a 3D mainline Sonic game, I genuinely think that this is not the #1 Sonic game of all time. And that's the reason why I'm making this video, and I want to make my pitch for why I think this game is just rated a little bit too high amongst the Sonic community. I bet if you're watching this right now, Sonic Generations probably is your #1 game. But keep in mind, this game scored very well, and probably the last good 3D Sonic game that has released. I'm definitely willing to concede that to people that think this game is really good, or they're a Sonic Generation purist, or they think this game is a masterpiece. A term in which I think it's thrown around way too much with this game. But if that's your position, I want you to hear all my points, and at the end of the video, definitely let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the points that I made. I actually just recently did a full live playthrough of this game on my YouTube channel. This man is eating a glizzy. Hey, yo. This man is dead eating a glizzy. So I feel like I definitely have a very fresh experience with this game. So I'm talking more so from that perspective. But with that being said, let's get to my first point about the story. Now, one of the worst parts about this game is definitely the story. Even people that really like this game can definitely concede that the story of this game is not very in-depth and doesn't really have much going on. Now, to be fair, this was the 20th anniversary title that was released in 2011. At the time, I really felt like I had grown out of Sonic, so I didn't play this game until years later. But when I saw this game on the shelves at stores, truthfully, I thought it was like some type of spin-off game. And realistically, based off of the storytelling and quality of the meta-era games, they're very short and almost are the length of some type of spin-off games. And that was definitely the case with the length of this game. But one thing I will actually applaud about this game's story is that it actually has one. Because like I said, growing up, I thought this game was just like a collection of classic levels that were remastered. I didn't know there was actually some type of overarching plot to it. Not that there's much, but there is some. So that is something that I do respect and find commendable about this game. So the story starts out very simple. You start off as classic Sonic, and then you just run through a remastered version of Green Hill. After you beat the level, this cutscene will play right here where you run into the time meter for the first time. This right here is the time meter, and he's the interdimensional being that seems to be wrecking the timelines. And then this scene cuts over to Sonic's birthday party. Fitting enough, being that this is the 20th anniversary game, they threw a birthday party for Sonic in the game. It seems very in line with what the game is trying to portray. It's a typical cast of Sonic characters. You see everyone, and then the time meter appears, and then he sabotages the birthday party. All of them get sucked into previous Sonic levels that were in the series in the past. Not gonna lie, I actually like the way the story starts. The problem is this part right here where you will spend the majority of your time in this white hub world kind of thing. After they did a good job of kind of building a world and building an environment, they just shipped over to this, and you don't really leave this area to the end. But that's really all of the world building you're going to get with this game. You will spend the rest of the game switching between classic and modern Sonic in this white little hub world that doesn't really have much detail to the environment. You will race through every stage in 2 acts. The first one is classic Sonic and the second one is modern Sonic. After beating the level returns to its former state, regains its color, and then you will free the subsequent Sonic friend that is trapped in that specific location. Occasionally, after you beat a level, a cutscene will play that really has no significant bearing on the story. You'll beat the Genesis era levels, the Adventure levels, and then the Dark Age era levels. In between, you have to defeat one Sonic rival and then one boss from that era until you beat all 10 levels and get all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Classic and Modern Sonic and Classic and Modern Tails eventually get all 7 emeralds, and they find out, surprise surprise, Eggman is behind the Time Eater. A cool little cutscene plays, and all of Sonic's friends encourage them to defeat Eggman's Time Eater using the Chaos Emeralds. Both Modern and Classic Sonic go Supersonic, and they defeat the Time Eater in what is the worst Supersonic boss fight of all time, honestly, in my opinion. I feel like this last boss fight being so bad definitely is a factor in why I don't think this is the absolute greatest 3D Sonic game of all time. But yeah, that's the story of Sonic Generations in a nutshell, and realistically, the story's not very good. I definitely have this as a factor as to why I don't consider this the #1 3D Sonic game of all time. But what's that you say? You say story doesn't matter in a Sonic game? It has no bearing on whether the game is good or bad? Listen, I think storytelling and world building is very important in Sonic games, especially if you look at games like SA2. But okay, I can kind of get down with that. But let's get to the meat of this video. Let's talk about the gameplay. Now, everyone knows the most important aspect of any game is probably the gameplay, and everyone knows the 2 main gimmicks of this game, which is Classic and Modern Sonic. Again, the key distinction here is not that I think this game is bad. Like I said, this is probably a top 5 Sonic game of all time. Core issue at hand is that many people have this as their #1 3D mainline Sonic game of all time. The reality of this game is, whether you know it or not, it's like 70% 2D. That's why when I think of the best 3D Sonic game of all time, I'm looking at Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 2 because those games are fully 3D. How can a game that is 70% 2D be one of the best 3D mainline Sonic games of all time? But anyways, let's start off with Classic Sonic, aka Santiago's gameplay. The Classic Sonic levels are largely similar to the Genesis gameplay. This section of the game is entirely in 2D, so you're looking at least 50% of the game being fully 2D. And the gameplay is very fine and serviceable. I think it's a fine gimmick, and it certainly doesn't ruin the experience at all. In fact, I think you can have a decent amount of fun with these levels. Again, I'm not trashing Generations. Like I said, it's definitely in my top 5 Sonic games of all time. But when you think of Sonic Generations, you're not necessarily sitting here and saying, oh my god, I just remember those Classic Sonic levels. They were so great. That's the only reason why I played that game. Realistically, I feel like you're having fun in spite of the Classic Sonic levels. To me, they always felt like a chore. Like, in order to have fun and do the next 3D stage, I had to slug through those Classic Sonic stages. And this is coming from someone who loves the 2D Genesis games. If you follow me on TikTok, you know that I stream those games almost every day, and I have so much fun with them. I beat them all so many times. And when I'm playing the Classic Sonic stages, I just don't feel like I'm playing the same game as this one right here. And that's partly due to a myriad of factors. One of the biggest things of the Classic Sonic games was the speed-based, momentum, and physics-based gameplay. Speed and momentum and physics are certainly present in Sonic Generations in the Classic Sonic levels. The main problem is it just doesn't feel right. The physics feel very off in this game. Firstly, building up momentum just doesn't feel as smooth and fluid as it does in the Classic Sonic games. The way you accelerate to top speed just feels a little bit weird. I would say that it feels a lot less natural. Also, one of the biggest things about the Classic Sonic games is that you will be jumping around a lot, and in this game, the weight of Classic Sonic's jumps just do not feel good. It feels like the gravity is just a little bit off, and every time you jump, it just feels like you sink back to the ground way too quickly. The only time I really feel like I get the proper weight and gravity on my jumps is when Classic Sonic jumps into an enemy and kind of jumps up. That's the only time it really feels natural. Or I guess in Rooftop Run when you jump off the balloons, but that's the same concept. Not having the same fluid physics and controls really does create a lot of issues with the platforming, because this game has a lot of 2D platforming that requires a lot of precision, and it feels like the controls are lacking just a little bit in that department. And as far as the 2D platforming goes, it's not the best of it. 2D platforming has always been a part of Sonic games, but I don't know, for some reason I feel like there's a lot of stretched platforming, which is kind of like where you just sit there and you're not really doing much. But at this point, I'm just nitpicking. Again, I don't think these are bad, but to sit there with a straight face and tell me that this is the #1 3D mainline Sonic game of all time, when 50% of the game is an inferior version of the 2D Genesis games, I can't sit there and co-sign that. And the gameplay is definitely enjoyable, and I think the spin dash is actually one of the redeeming qualities of this gameplay. If you watch my history of the spin dash video, it's super good. Go watch that. But yeah, that's where I stand on the 2D Classic Sonic gameplay contributing to the overratedness of this game. Now let's move on to what we all want to talk about, which is the 3D boosting levels. The modern Sonic gameplay is definitely why most people who do consider this to be the best Sonic game of all time put it in that position. And make no mistake, this gameplay is certainly excellent. It's so good, and I feel like this is really what carries this game, because we like to obfuscate this game. This is 70% a 2D game, and this really is no exception. 50% of the game is 2D Classic Sonic, but let's get into why I think this game is overrated, and even the 3D boosting levels are overrated as well. Not saying they're bad, don't quote me on that, but I'm just trying to expand in my position as to why this is like the 4th best Sonic game and not #1. The level design in these levels is very good. There are many paths you can take in these levels. It seems like these were the most polished form of the daytime levels of Sonic Unleashed, and it seems like they finally perfected the boost formula. The problem is, while it is more polished than Sonic Unleashed, I think the daytime levels from Sonic Unleashed are way better than the 3D boosting levels in modern Sonic's gameplay and Sonic Generations. My biggest issue with the 3D modern Sonic levels is that there is way too much 2D in these levels. And if there is 2D, shouldn't it be very minimal and more reaction based as opposed to platforming, like in Sonic Unleashed? Shouldn't the 2D be only for classic Sonic? There is quite a few examples of the 2D sections really getting in the way of the flow and the fun of the 3D modern Sonic levels. The most glaringly obvious level where the 2D sections really get in the way of the fun is Planet Wisp. It doesn't even matter if it's modern or classic Sonic, this level is the worst level in any Sonic game I've ever played. This level has so much 2D and is basically almost entirely 2D, even though you're playing the 3D modern Sonic levels. This just goes to show, how could this possibly be the best 3D mainline Sonic game if the entire game, literally 70% of it, is in 2D? Sonic Generations will never be better than Sonic Adventure 1. I'm just kidding, this is still a good game. But honestly, dunking on Planet Wisp is very easy. Most people who think this game is a masterpiece could probably agree that this level sucks. There's definitely quite a few levels that do the balance of 2D and 3D very good. To me, I think the levels that have the best blend of this is probably Green Hill, Sky Sanctuary, and City Escape. And again, it's not terrible, but I just hate the 2D and the 3D levels. Especially in the boosting games, like, it really does not fit well with Sonic's moveset. You really can't go fast-paced in the 2D environment the way that these levels are set up, and the platforming feels very clunky. So it just feels like a chore to get through these sections. And a lot of these levels have so much of it. It just feels like the 2D sections are really drawn out and they're just like filler content for the levels. Sonic Unleashed does the 2D the best. They keep it very minimal and it's more speed and reaction based. But I'll show you a really good example of how the 2D sections really slow down the pace of the level in Sonic Generations. So I think Crisis City is a pretty good example as to why the 2D really kind of ruins the flow of this game. As I was running this level, I timed it out for this video specifically. The level starts off pretty strong. You run down in 3D and do a little bit of boosting, but literally for the next minute and change, you're just going to spend it slowly platforming, which I don't hate. I don't mind the 3D platforming. But the second you get to that 2D section, even the way it transitions, it's just not good. I dread playing this level just for the 2D sections alone. Like, you're really slugging through this 2D section for so long and there's no fast-paced action. You're literally just platforming and waiting. What is the point of the Sonic game? The point of a Sonic game is to go fast, for the most part. And the 2D section is going to take like another minute and change out of your time. Finally, towards the end, you finally get to a 3D boosting section that requires reaction and quick pace thinking, and it takes like less than 30 seconds to complete. And this was probably the most fun part of the level. So you're telling me we only get the true Sonic experience for about 15 to 20 seconds of the level, and then you're gonna sit there in the same breath and say that this game is better than the king of 3D Sonic, which is SA1? Nah man, no way. Like I said, this is a really good game and I like it, but I think Crisis City is a very good example as to why this game really is a little bit overrated. As I kind of alluded to before but didn't really define, Sonic Generations really does have a lot of chore levels. And what I mean by this are levels that are just a chore to get through. I didn't even go into what these levels were in the classic Sonic levels, which again is 50% of the game, but there are some levels that really have these sections that are just like such a chore to get through and are such a drag on really the pace and the fun of the game. Like for example, when I'm playing King SA1, the gameplay is so crisp, so smooth, it's so fluid, and the levels are really good. When I'm playing this game, there's not a level that I could skip. Every level 1 through 10 is extremely good, and there's not that one level where I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it's this level, I need to skip this, oh I gotta do this level in order to get through the game, like this sucks. Everything in this game, 1 through 10 in the Sonic levels, really good. And by the way, there's no 2D sections and it's fully 3D. I don't really know how you can rank Generations over something like this or even SA2. One of my last little nitpicky things about this game is the progression. You have to do at least 2 side missions per era. And some of them are kind of fun, just like this one, and others are just kind of like reskins of the levels with different Sonic characters as your sidekick, which I actually like. It's good that they introduce these characters because it's kind of sad that this is really the only capacity we've seen them in the last 10 years. But let's be real though, you know some of these side missions suck. It's something that I call forced replayability. Basically, it's where the game's forcing you to replay in order to progress, and it's also inserting objectives that you have to do, which I don't mind. I think it's essential for people who are 100% completionists, and I actually really like the artwork, the music, and all the other cool stuff you can unlock in this game, as well as the power-ups. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to SA1 and SA2. I replay these games with little incentive. I replay those games just because they're super fun and I love playing and controlling Sonic, which is why for me personally, I think SA1 is the best Sonic game of all time, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, that's my opinion as to why I don't think Sonic Generations is the best Sonic game of all time. As a matter of fact, I find it quite overrated because many people probably think that this is the #1 Sonic game of all time. Now that I'm done talking, it is now your turn. And be honest, let me know in the comments, if this this is your favorite game, do you think I changed your opinion a little bit? Again, this is all opinionated stuff. There's no such thing as a wrong opinion. I kind of want to just present my side of the argument as to why I think Sonic Generations is just a little bit overrated and I don't have it as my #1 game of all time. I'm extremely eager to hear what you guys have to say. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It means so much to me. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing for me right now. We are very close to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe, hit the post notifications, and stay up to date with all my content. But with that being said, I gotta head out, so until next time, peace out. I'll see you guys later.